everyone has their process. I mean, I like to like have it out in a timeline, but the thing that helped me most was just like being on set. There's something that your body kind of memorizes in a way. And once you're on set with those characters, something just clicks.
Super nice to meet you guys.
Very nice to meet you.
Well, to start off, I guess, Kate, if you would like to begin, I would love to know what you each think your character's superpower is when it comes to being an FBI agent.
I think that my character, a poet, I do think her sort of superpower, and if more people had this, I think it would be a good thing. But hers is sort of being empathy is her actual superpower, and it is also I think in a lot of ways her. It's good and it's bad in a lot of ways, and you sort of see that throughout. But she definitely leads with her empathy and her love of people.
I'd say for Lennox, it's like he has a very he's got a talent for loving people, which is it's a very specific thing, right? To be able to really, really, really elevate somebody else above yourself, and he really does meet the love of his life at Quantico, and it's a relationship that has ramifications for the rest of the story for him. And it's I think he has a very unique talent for loving this very specific person. So maybe that's his superpower.
Yeah, well, Brian, kind of in that same note, in comparison, to other projects that you've done, and other characters that you've played, because you played a lot of different types of characters, what is it that really stands out to you about Lennox, that maybe you haven't seen in other roles?
I think that it was really fun to get to play with all the, the different timelines, right? And I found something very moving about looking at a person who's at 50 or in their 50s and kind of looking back at like, how the hell did I get here? Like how did this happen? And what am I going to do about it? And I found that to be very exciting. Usually, you play your age. Usually you're playing someone who's like dealing with the same cluster of issues that you're dealing with in some way. So to be able to sort of project myself into the future in a way and figure out what it's like to sort of reassess and reevaluate your entire life. I found that to be a lot of fun.
And then, well, Seppi, I know that this definitely isn't your first time working kind of within like the crime genre. So what is it that you think really sets Class of '09 apart from maybe other shows that you've done kind of within this area?
Yeah, I think it's quite unique tonally. It's a suspenseful thriller with a sprinkle of sci-fi. And as Brian mentioned, we get to see these characters throughout various points in their lives and how the decisions they make or don't make affect their lives, like the ripple effects and the consequences of our human decisions, whether right or wrong. I think there was something deeply vulnerable and raw about Ur, and seeing that kind of character, especially in a role like law enforcement, is not common. You don't think that the people that you see on television playing cops or FBI agents or CIA, they're always kind of steely and hard, and you don't see, the first time you see Ur, she's in a tub sort of spiraling out of control, talking about how she doesn't have money. She doesn't know why she's there. She's like having an existential crisis. And immediately this bond from that moment is formed between Ur and Poet. And so I think that, being able to see this group that has this bonding experience and how they stay connected in each other's lives throughout the decades is something that's unique. I mean, there's so many different elements, so many different themes that were attractive to me about this project. One of them was AI. One of them was, time and the nature of time. One of them was this character with her specific backstory coming from a sort of traumatized Iranian family that was oppressed in their own government, and then dealing with a in ways, oppressive legal system that she's trying to help, that she's trying to fix, and how, you know, when your heart is in a good place, it doesn't always mean that it's going to be turn out for the best. So it's just, these are really real and relatable ideas and themes.
Well, and then Kate, you know, for you as well, as someone who's played like multiple different characters, different genres, you know, I'm sure some things start to feel similar. So was there anything that surprised you about Poet that you didn't, you know, see coming?
I think the thing about this character that I was excited to explore was sort of like what Seppi mentioned is time and how it really affects us all in so many ways. It affects our relationships so intensely, and I was really intrigued by you know, what Poet's relationship with each of these people, how that would be different in the different time periods of her life, and how they grow and evolve, or sort of, you know, stay stuck in a certain emotional state, and just exploring what time does to us all, not just in a physical way, in an emotional way. And so that was sort of it. That was what was intriguing to me about playing this character, and was different, I thought, in these scripts as well.
And I mean, as you guys have all mentioned, the show jumps around in time a lot, and it's not just like it's always moving forwards, it's going back and forth. So, you know, obviously as actors, you're used to filming out of order, but, you know, given that, you know, was there an added layer of difficulty when it came to, you know, getting in your character's headspace, you know, their relationships, their emotions?
Well, there's the makeup. I mean, there were certain days where we would have to go from like our present day look to our future look. And I don't know how long it took y'all. I mean, I think mine was about like 2 hours, I want to say, like, to get the old age look on. So that was, getting into that was difficult at times, you know.
I think your sugar. I think it took you 3 hours, because
might have, yeah.
I remember coming in onto set maybe like a little bit after you, and yeah, because you were always there before we arrived. But that was definitely tricky. But it also, I felt like that kind of, it gave us the time to sort of get into that, you know, headspace for sure. So there was always a big chunk of time between between scenes whenever we were jumping time zones, time periods. And so that was, I guess, useful for us to be able to sort of switch your headspace as well.
You're right. I mean, aside from makeup and costume, you do have to be diligent about staying on top of, you know, what unfolds when, what happens where, and where you are within the relationship, like the dynamic of the relationships at any given point throughout the script. So everyone has their process. I mean, I like to have it out in a timeline, but the thing that helped me most was just like being on set. There's something that your body kind of memorizes in a way. And once you're on set with those characters, something just clicks. So I think, as Kate has mentioned before, you know, we kind of rely on each other in a way.
Well, I'm going to have to wrap, but thank you guys so much for chatting with me about the show. I'm really enjoying it so far. I think it is excellent.